On this Saturday night, rising tensions across the country as the so-called Freedom Rally parties near Parliament Hill. Protests and counter-protests spread to other Canadian cities.
Go home!
A brutal storm cuts power to thousands in the Maritimes as millions of Americans try to dig out from it. Team Canada on a tear. A silver, a bronze, and a hockey team that seems unbeatable in Beijing. And the pioneering Canadian surgeon who's taking organ transplants.
We built in a ballistic parachute
To a whole new level.
Global National. Reporting tonight, Colleen Christie.
Thousands of Canadians have taken to the streets across the country to protest against pandemic restrictions. Demonstrators have descended on major cities in several provinces to show solidarity with the so-called Freedom Protest in Ottawa. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. It has been exactly a week since the Freedom Convoy rolled into our nation's capital. And as Mike Drolet explains in our top story tonight, they're vowing to stay for the long haul.
This was a potentially volatile mix. Protesters and counter-protesters separated by a thin line of Ottawa police, who at times had to forcefully keep the two groups apart. A week into the trucker-led occupation of the nation's capital, Hayden Avery said he's had enough.
If anyone goes outside, you're basically looking at getting slurs yelled at you. You're, people threatening to, take your mask off or else.
A stone's throw away, what's dubbed as the Freedom Convoy gathering was in full swing, with impromptu dance parties and a concert in the shadow of Parliament Hill. While protesters with megaphones screaming about freedom were drowned out by truck horns. There is no discussion here.
You've told lie after lie after lie.
Only the steadfast belief they're fighting for the future of the country.
And the mandates give the people of Canada choice in the matter. A choice in the matter to wear the mask, to get the vaccine. We shouldn't be penalized for something so unbelievably inhumane.
As much as residents were hopeful this protest would end soon, they have to be dismayed at what they're seeing now. Saunas, ice huts, and other semi-permanent structures to cook food. The message, they're in it for the long haul. Ottawa police responded by blocking key roads.
That's a public safety issue.
Citing safety as the reason for turning away a horse-drawn wagon filled with diesel fuel.
We're not letting vehicles pass this checkpoint.
Organizers also had to scramble to come up with an alternative fundraising platform to GoFundMe, which took down the convoy's campaign, citing violations of its terms of service, promising to refund roughly $9 million in donations. Supporters are now flocking to a Christian fundraising site that has been popular in the past with right-wing extremist groups. Donations topped $1 million by midday.
We got this.
We got this, guys. We're going to wake up this world even more.
That won't make Ottawa residents happy, but protesters argue that's the price to pay for freedom. Mike Drolet, Global News, Ottawa.
One of the largest solidarity protests taking place today is in downtown Toronto. More than 2,000 people have gathered at Queen's Park, which is home to Ontario's legislative building and not far from some of the busiest hospitals in the country. Global's Alan Carter has been monitoring the situation today and joins us now. Alan.
Colleen, despite extensive road closures in the city of Toronto, the convoy made its way into the city, loudly blocking a major intersection. The blaring sound of protest in Toronto as truckers moved their rigs to block downtown roads. Prevented by police from getting close to the provincial legislature, protesters gathered nearby, provoking angry reactions of their own.
Go home, bigots!
Sir, you better walk away.
You're not welcome!
Sir?
The Ontario Trucking Association says it strongly disapproves of this demonstration. The message here now familiar: condemnation of politicians and of the media. Many also angered at how they've been portrayed.
The disrespect that we're shown by our leadership has to end. We're not yahoos.
Protesters didn't block healthcare workers and patients from nearby hospitals, but this emergency room doctor says there's still been an impact.
The fact that these roads are blocked
access has already been impeded, okay? So the damage is done.
This nurse says she joined the protest after refusing a second dose of the vaccine following an adverse reaction to the first.
I'm a 11-year nurse. I've worked palliative, I've worked emerge, I've worked multi-organ transplant units, and I've just been discarded as if I'm not worth anything.
Wrapped in the flag, sometimes quite literally, demonstrators believe the volume of their protest must be heard by those in power.
Toronto police report at least one arrest as part of this demonstration. A 22-year-old man arrested for assault with a weapon. Colleen?
Thanks, Alan. A large crowd gathered outside Quebec's National Assembly today following quieter protests during the week.
Of course I'm mad. There's no democracy in there.
Organizers asked the group to remain peaceful and respect orders from police. 40 tickets were handed out on Friday, mostly for highway safety code infractions. This is the third day of protests in Quebec's capital. A convoy that began in Langley, BC this morning, headed for downtown Vancouver, was met with counter-protesters. Several dozen people laid in the street, blocking the protesters from continuing. The road eventually reopened, and while the convoy split in multiple directions, hundreds of trucks and cars ended up in the downtown core. 4 people were injured in a hit-and-run last night in front of the Manitoba legislature, where demonstrators were camped out. The victims were all protesters, but police don't believe this incident is related to the demonstration, based on the suspect's comments at the scene, although they wouldn't elaborate.
This was not someone who was compliant, and the comments were blurted out, but as I will repeat, it looks like the actions were not really as a result of the mandates.
A 41-year-old from Headingley, Manitoba, remains in custody. He's expected to be charged with a slew of offenses, including 4 counts of assault with a weapon. Under the shadow of those convoy protests in Ottawa, the federal Conservatives ousted leader Erin O'Toole this week following a decisive vote spurred by a caucus revolt. And right now, the race is on for a new leader to unify the caucus and determine exactly where on the political spectrum Conservatives want to sit. Our Ottawa Bureau Chief Mercedes Stephenson joins us now with the latest. Mercedes.
Well, certainly a big question for Conservatives is who will lead the party and what direction will it go in? And one of the names who keeps bubbling up to the top is Pierre Poilievre. He is an Ottawa area MP. He was also in Stephen Harper's cabinet. He's a lifelong politician and he's pretty conservative. He has taken the side of the convoy here in Ottawa and supported it very publicly. He also has posted numerous videos attacking the Liberals in highly partisan ways, and he is seen to be the front runner if he decides to run, which tells you the direction the party is likely to go to. This week on the West Block, I had an exclusive interview with John Baird. He was Stephen Harper's Minister of Foreign Affairs. He's a close friend and confidant of Pierre Poilievre's, and let me tell you, in that interview, it certainly sounds like we have an imminent announcement coming from Pierre Poilievre that he will run. Take a listen to why John Baird says Pierre Poilievre is the right man to lead the Conservative Party next.
I think he has the brains, and more important, I think he's got the backbone. He's got extensive experience in government. I think he can bring the Conservative movement together. He can galvanize people, but also I think has proven that he can break through and speak to Canadians.
And that'll be the big question. Can someone who has been so polarizing, in fact, break through and speak to Canadians in areas like the 905? Mr. Baird says he thinks that he can do that. So we will have to see if Pierre Poilievre announces, but I doubt that someone like John Baird is out pumping him up if there wasn't something in the cards pretty quickly. Back to you.
Good point. All right, Mercedes Stephenson in Ottawa. Thanks, Mercedes. And of course, you can watch the full interview with former Foreign Affairs Minister John Baird tomorrow on the West Block, right here on Global. Canada's non-lethal military aid has arrived in Ukraine to help bolster the country's defenses against a possible Russian incursion. The equipment includes armored vests and night vision goggles. In a tweet, Defense Minister Anita Anand confirmed the aid departed Canadian Forces based Trenton Thursday night, saying the donation will help security forces defend Ukraine's sovereignty, territorial integrity, and independence. That's the first wave of U.S. reinforcements touching down in Poland as Russia flexes its military might along Ukraine's border. Its troops landed this morning at an Air Force base in Poland's southeast near its border with Ukraine. On Wednesday, U.S. President Joe Biden ordered 2,000 U.S.-based personnel to be deployed to Poland and Germany and shifted 1,000 soldiers from Germany to Romania to strengthen NATO's eastern flank. Russia is stoking fears even further after sending 2 long-range nuclear-capable bombers on patrol over the airspace of ally Belarus. Russia's defense ministry said the bombers practiced interacting with the Belarusian Air Force and air defenses during a 4-hour mission. U.S. intelligence warns Russia could stage an attack with little warning from Belarus, which borders Ukraine from the north. Tens of thousands woke up without power in Atlantic Canada after being battered by another storm. The far-reaching system brought freezing rain to large parts of Nova Scotia, leading to downed trees, frozen power lines, and treacherous roadways. Parts of New Brunswick, PEI, and Newfoundland and Labrador were also affected, with some areas seeing as much as 55 centimeters of snow. That same system caused chaos south of the border. Large-scale blackouts, flight cancellations, and traffic disruptions were seen across a large swath of the U.S. Jennifer Johnson has the latest.
Snow, sleet, and freezing rain turned roads in the New England states into sheets of ice and encased cars in rock-hard frozen shells.
Horrible. We're smashing all the ice off right now. It's pretty bad.
Snowfall records were broken in several regions, including parts of Indiana.
I ain't gonna lie, I love snowblowing. My wife hates it because I'm always outside.
Hundreds of thousands were left without power. Texas and Tennessee the hardest hit. Texas' power grid held up much better than it did in February 2021, when the grid crashed for several days, leaving 200 people dead. Still, tens of thousands lost power this time.
We have no heat and no lights there. It's not a good combination when it's cold outside.
The governor is urging residents to take precautions as this big freeze sticks around.
Most of the state will continue to experience sub-freezing temperatures for a few more nights.
The ice was so bad in Fort Worth, cars slid sideways down this off-ramp. A highway in central Texas was shut down for almost a full day after tractor trailers jackknifed, killing one person.
We haven't eaten in 24 hours. We haven't had water in just about that same amount of time.
That highway in Kerrville, Texas, reopened late Friday, but roads in several states are still a mess.
A lot of spinouts today. You know, I mean, it's just such a hard thing for the crews to keep up with.
And after the snow and sleet stopped falling, the storm brought in gusty winds and frigid temperatures.
It's pretty cold. My pants are already frozen.
The treacherous weather also forced the cancellation of more than 10,000 flights. Thousands of others were delayed. From Dallas to Boston, this monster storm blocked any clear path for planes to get in or out. Jennifer Johnson, Global News, Washington.
Coming up, Team Canada earns its first 2 medals of the Beijing Olympics. Canada's first medal of the day belongs to speed skater Isabelle Weideman. She wasn't able to hang on to the top spot in the 3,000 meter, finishing with the bronze. This is Weideman's second Olympic Games. She becomes the first Canadian woman on the podium in long track speed skating since 2010. Quebec's Michael Kingsbury has been dethroned. He hoped his last run would land him at the top of the podium, but it was not to be, trailing behind Sweden in the moguls final. After winning the gold in Pyeongchang, Kingsbury was trying to win back-to-back Olympic titles. Kingsbury is still the most decorated mogul skier of all time, with 71 World Cup victories. It was another blowout for Canada's women's hockey team, beating Finland 11-1. In just 2 games, Canada has scored 23 goals. Finland was without its coach for the game, having to fly home suddenly because of an illness in his family. Canada will take on Russia next before facing the U.S. early next week to cap round-robin play. Still ahead, a Canadian medical pioneer, the doctor going above and beyond for organ transplants.
Come on, brag a little. Send us a picture of your Canada, and we'll showcase it at the end of Global National. Email it to viewers@globalnational.com.
A 5-year-old boy was carried out by rescuers in Morocco after being stuck in a 30-meter deep well since Tuesday. The child was rushed away in an ambulance, but state media is now reporting the boy has died. His massive rescue effort gripped people across the North African country. Officials spent days methodically digging around the well in order to avoid a collapse or landslide. Canada has been a world leader in organ transplant surgery going back to 1983 when the first successful lung transplant was performed in Toronto. Since then, one Toronto doctor has devoted his life to lungs. This week on The New Reality, Donna Friesen introduces us to the surgeon who's turning to the skies in his quest to save more lives. Donna?
Colleen, Dr. Khashoggi is one of the world's top thoracic surgeons, and it's not just because of what he does on the operating table. He has spent his entire life working on preserving lungs for transport, and this was a first, a pair of human lungs delivered by drone. Dr. Khashoggi tells me for him it was like the Kitty Hawk, and waiting in a hospital bed was a retired engineer from the Ottawa area, Alain Hodak.
They came to the room in the afternoon and they said, we've got this project that's transporting by drones. Are you interested in participating? They described the risk of it. And I said, I'm a technical guy. I'm an engineer by profession. I said, advancement of science, sure, I'll participate.
Dr. Khashoggi worked with a Montreal area company, Unither Bioelectronics, to develop the drone to ensure the precious cargo would be protected no matter what happened.
We built in a ballistic parachute. So if two engines,
ballistic parachutes.
Right. So if the drone drops too fast, tilts suddenly, loses power, it will cut all the engines. A parachute will fire, and the drone will come down to the ground safely. And it was very exciting because like drone guys are like cool engineer dudes, and they can do all that stuff, but they didn't sort of think like it's a lung. Well, okay, if a drone crashes, I'll just get another one. Well, no, it's got a lung in it. That's a person. That's someone's life.
Dr. Khashoggi has made lung transplants his life work, and he's developed techniques to keep organs alive outside the body, preserving them, even tailoring them to the donor. And all his incredible innovations are happening right here in Canada. Colleen?
Donna Friesen. Thank you, Donna. And you can watch Donna's full report tonight at 8 on The New Reality right here on Global. Next, one student's effort to reclaim Vancouver's Black history. That's the Queen kicking off the pomp and ceremony to mark her Platinum Jubilee. Tomorrow marks Queen Elizabeth II's 70th anniversary on the throne, the longest reigning British monarch. She assumed the responsibility in 1952 at the age of 25 when her father, King George VI, died suddenly. The Queen, who is now 95, was in sparkling form today, laughing and joking with guests. A University of British Columbia student is spearheading an effort to create a new community hub in an historic neighbourhood. Maya Prashant wants to establish the Vancouver Black Library. She hopes the facility will reclaim some of what was lost more than 50 years ago. Paul Johnson explains.
Hogan's Alley was a very frequently visited Black neighborhood in Canada before the Georgia Viaduct was built.
Take a walk with Maya Prashant around the neighborhood that once was Hogan's Alley. And she can show you some of the landmarks, like the home on this block where Jimi Hendrix's grandmother once lived, and where the guitar god frequently hung out.
Hogan's Alley was really just a vibrant community neighborhood, the same way that we have Commercial Drive as Little Italy.
But while the Drive, Chinatown, and Vancouver's various other enclaves mostly aged in place, the city's only Black neighborhood was torn down and dispersed to make way for the Georgia Viaduct in 1970. And came close to being erased from history as well.
I am a Black person in Vancouver, and I was never taught about what happened with Hogan's Alley.
So Prashant came up with an idea. Why not create a library to gather all the materials that tell the story of Hogan's Alley and of the Black experience in Canada? And also create the kind of community hub that you see in other big cities like Toronto, but not yet in Vancouver.
A community gathering space. It's going to be a place that people can study, a place that people can chill.
Pression and her collaborators initially set out to raise about $6,000. But when their GoFundMe campaign popped to $7,000 way faster than they thought, they set their sights higher. Now hoping for $35,000, enough to get a lease on a space and hopefully become a magnet for materials that go beyond the story of Hogan's Alley.
We have a priority on books, literature, works that are written by Black authors, put an emphasis and importance on the Black experience.
While those original residents of Hogan's Alley may have never expected their community would be torn down, you also couldn't predict that 50 years later, someone like Maya Pression would be working to put it back on the map in a different way. Paul Johnson, Global News, Vancouver.
And that is Global National for this Saturday night. I'm Colleen Christie. Tonight, your Canada is Cultus Lake near Chilliwack, BC. We love to see your corner of the country, so please keep sending your photos to viewers@globalnational.com. Thanks for watching. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Have a good night.